Hello, everybody. I'm Will,
Hello, and I am Sam.
And I'm Josh.
and welcome to Only Murders in the Building, Season 2, Spoiler Cast. This show is so good. Welcome to the Season 2 Spoiler Cast. It will be full of spoilers. My thought is, if you're watching a thing about a second season of a show, you've seen the show.
Oh, absolutely.
You're not anticipating that you're going to get spoiled. Don't watch this. Go away. Watch the show.
Well, we're not actually going to spoil season 1, so...
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That's true.
You can listen to this and still enjoy the first season
Good point,
of a show.
Josh.
Alrighty, bingo. I guess at the top of this, we should just get a temperature check on how we're all feeling 2 seasons into this show. I feel like 2 of 3. I don't think they'll do more than 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Kind of where this season ends up. But Sam, how'd you feel?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, the only way I can sum this show up is just charming.
Yes.
It's the most charming and adorable show.
Mm-hmm.
The cast members all work so well together. And it's the sort of show where there is a murder going on and a mystery that you're trying to sort of figure out. But everything that's happening in this show is so perfect in the moment that you're not worrying about like the big picture.
Yeah.
You're just there to enjoy what's happening there and then.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love it.
It's so
amazing.
good. Like, the show forgets... and this season, I love the meta commentary of it as well.
Yeah.
It literally forgets to do the murder thing, and then
Yeah,
someone in the show is like, "That was a bad episode. We didn't really get on to the murder this week." And it's like, we're talking about the podcast, but it's the show.
Yeah.
Josh, how do you feel?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like,
Sorry, tie-dye.
tie-dye.
Yeah.
Because with the first season, I thought with the holding back with the killer and everything, I thought it was going to be like, oh yeah, it's going to be easier for the second season. But no.
No, it's
like,
the same,
it was
yeah.
just the same. It was
Yeah.
just as difficult to predict it.
Totally. Yeah, like that was a cool thing. I think the show does a great thing in that there's so many dead ends in the show. Like, there's constantly like threads that they follow that doesn't actually go anywhere.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases that would be bad for the show.
Yeah.
Because it would be a badly planned show, but it kind of, those dead ends actually tie directly into those other stories.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's like, it's a wonderfully chaotically planned show in that you are never anticipating the next reveal.
Yeah.
Like the thing of the parentage to Martin Short's son. It's like, that was never set up.
No.
Like, that's a weird reveal that you put in there, but it also is like, oh no, that makes a lot of sense. Like, and the fact that it ends up tying to Teddy and tying to so much of what's already set up for the show. Yeah, I really enjoyed all that aspect.
It's the sort of thing where, like, every episode, each character is just so evenly well done. Like, there's no one falling short, no one going a bit too over the top. It's like, everything's just great.
Totally.
One thing I will add, though, the only fucking... Sorry, but the one issue...
There was a scene where Teddy just shouts "fuck it," Martin Short, which is my favorite season of the show.
The one thing I hated about this series was like the one episode that featured Amy Schumer.
Yes, I was about to say, can we get the elephant out of the room?
Which I've come to the conclusion, and like because I was at home and I was watching it with my partner, and we were thinking at the end of every episode when you watch it on Disney Plus, there's an advert for a movie or a special she's done.
Yeah.
So I'm like, was this just
It's just a bit of promo.
just a bit of promo?
Yeah. It's nuts, Josh.
Yeah, I really want to see if like the views went up on those things, or was just like
Yeah, if anyone actually followed through.
Yeah,
on that.
totally.
Because her character is so abrasive in the show that it's like, I don't want more of that. Like,
No.
cool, she's got a thing, but
Yeah.
the show is purposely making me not like her.
Absolutely.
So it's like, why would I want more of that?
I mean, we already hated her.
Yeah.
But, but it was a thing as well where it's like, I think she's in it for maybe like an episode and a half. Like, she comes into it at the end of one, and then the second episode after that, she's in it fully.
And it seems like she's going to be like an ongoing
and then you
character.
never see her again.
No.
And it was a sort of thing for me where I was sitting there and I was like, surely for them to introduce her, she is part of something.
Yeah.
She is either the killer or she's in on it. No,
Nothing.
it's just a bit of promo, isn't it?
Yeah.
they did more with Sting than they did
Totally.
with Amy Schumer.
Yeah.
Like, the end of the Sting episode where he's playing I'll Be Watching You,
Yeah,
it's like the greatest moment in that first season.
Yeah, so I thought it was going to be like a common like thing throughout the series.
Well,
having like a famous person play themselves throughout the series, but
Oh,
they
that'd
just
be cool.
Yeah. The other thing with the Amy Schumer thing is they have the perfect setup of bringing her back in when they round up everyone from the building, and it's like, all right, we've got to act. Because the whole start of the season is her trying to be like, I'm going to act, and I'm a cool actor now, and that's the thing I want to do. So it's like, that. I was like, as much as I don't want her back, that was the moment to bring her back and be like, that's why she was here. She'll have a moment in this kind of acting reveal party. So
Because it's just the sort of thing where to bring her in and have her involved in any way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
and then to not have her come back at all,
Yeah.
it's like it's more
all
jarring.
referenced, like at all, yeah.
It's more jarring just to have her there for an episode,
Yeah.
than it is to bring her back, tie a knot on her character, and have her go away.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
like, you know,
just to be
It was
dropped.
legit product placement. That's
Yeah,
what it was.
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
Like, it was product placement.
Yeah, and I think it stilted those first few episodes as well. Like the show
Yeah.
kicks off once it
Yeah.
gets going, but those
Yeah.
first few episodes, I think I was a bit worried. It was like, oh, I don't know if they're gonna do a thing. And the show is very acknowledging of. It's like I think there is a line that's like, oh man, they haven't gotten started yet
yeah, totally.
with the podcast.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think season 3 won't have that problem because
Yeah,
I think
cool.
this season has proved that they've settled into their roles. It's
Yeah.
like it's such a wild thing that the first season tonally feels really simple. Like it doesn't have the meta commentary this season has. It doesn't have the kind of craziness like as much as, you know, parentage and lineage like and the family tree stuff is a thing that happens in real life. It feels like it comes out of nowhere in a way that's like zany and wacky in the show in a way that season 1 wouldn't do it. So I think they're slowly heightening the realism of the show, and season 3 I think will be very different. And I think season 2 did a wonderful thing of letting everyone be who they are a lot more. Like Steve Martin feels like he's a lot more the Steve Martin reserved, awkward, shy guy character in this, and Martin Short is the loudest I've ever heard him in any. Just shouts in every
so
scene.
good. It's so good.
Because yeah, I've always adored them as actors, and I feel like this one, it was like the first season they didn't want to go hard into just having Martin Short and Steve. They wanted to be characters, but this season it really felt like they were like, do your thing, have fun.
Yeah, because if anything, it's a thing that the first season, it's obviously like that trial of like, let's see what the audience likes and
Totally.
what they're vibing with.
Yep.
And then, you know, the first season has been like, you know, handed out to people and has been received so well
Yep.
that they're like, you know what?
Just do it.
Season 2, just you do you.
Yeah.
Don't even have lines.
Yeah.
Just talk.
There's some scenes where there's some moments in the show which I think some people will hate and some people will love, where the two of them basically turn away from camera and just start talking to each other about something.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, they've just let them talk. They're just two old people talking
Is that the
now.
bathroom scene?
There's the bathroom
Oh,
scene.
yeah.
There's the one. It's usually when they're standing in front of the painting. There's moments where they're like,
where
they
they
just get
turn.
lost and they start talking.
Yeah,
and Mabel's
totally.
like, guys, and it's
Yeah,
and wonderful
yeah.
just snap back.
That's very true.
I think she came into her own a lot more as well. Mabel's character. They did a lot. Weirdly, with this series, again, she's like the prime suspect.
Yeah.
But I think she's less. It's less about that. First season was like purely you're the prime suspect, and all her backstory was about that. Whereas this has that wonderful episode with her dad, which I think it's the lower stakes one because it's the one with Teddy's son, and it feels like it's the dip in the season. But I actually think it's one of my favorite episodes because I love episodes where characters talk.
Yeah.
And there's no action. Like I love those,
Yeah.
and I think that's one of my favorites because I love his son's character is such a wonderful thing in this show.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the thing that, like, the reason why this show does so well and, like, why we all like it is because of that thing where it's, like, it's just people talking most of the time.
Yeah.
And that's what you enjoy the most. You're like, and because it's actors that we all like, it's a thing where it's like, hey, just talk for hours and I'll
be
watch
well
it.
written, well acted.
Absolutely.
I've got no problem.
Yeah.
It's like reverse Loki, where it's like great actors, but they're just talking and it's not interesting.
Yeah.
I want to throw something to you, Josh.
What were you gonna say?
No, I was just like we're bouncing back and forth. I don't want.
No. I'm enjoying.
You're
the
in.
bouncing back.
yeah. You're the tie-dye guy. You'll come in at a lot when you're least
Yeah,
expected.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of those guys, though, I was intrigued that they brought back the fans in as big a way as they did, especially the big lurky
tall
guy.
dude, yeah.
which is the wonderful thing about this show. It feels like they have a Kevin Feige whiteboard of every line and every idea they've ever said in the show.
Yeah.
They're like, well, that kind of links to that thing, so we'll bring it back now. Like having his character come in and be kind of physically what we've been seeing of the killer. And so it's like, oh my God, that's the killer. And then it's like, oh, he's like in pest control or something. It's like, come on, like, how have you thought about that?
And they use him as like a red herring.
Yeah. And then their red herrings are wonderful, again, because they build on the characters. As much as there's like, I'm sure there's like only murder fans, only murder mystery fans that hate how many red herrings are in the show and how much it just kind of feels like we're almost at the end, and then they like go, actually, none of that's relevant. But I think, I love that it adds to that guy's character, and now when he's in a scene, I'm like, oh, I like that dude. Like, when he was in the background of all the Only Murders fans, I was like, yeah, that's a fun little group, but I like that there's personalities for everyone, especially the neighbor, the glasses neighbor that's
With
got
the cats?
with the cats.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting him to be like a main character for this
No.
season.
And like the one thing that I love about the show is like whenever we follow like a particular character going for the red herring,
Yes,
we find out more about that character, and like we find like it builds that character,
for sure.
and we're like, oh, we kind of like this person, and
Yeah.
then it's like it's not them, and we're like, oh, thank
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
goodness.
it's totally that. Like his boyfriend, or at least the neighbor that he was getting in contact with, he sneezes with the cat, and in that same episode, they bring up the idea that the killer has allergies, and I was like, no, I want him to be happy. Like, don't do that. Don't make his boyfriend the killer.
Absolutely.
And then they obviously flip that, but I like stuff like that. Like everything connects. Everything's connected.
But it's also in like those episodes where, and like, I mean, in any episode where you've got a character like this neighbor,
Yeah.
where you find like, you know, you have moments that sort of extends their character and
Yep.
gives you more of their character and, you know, you learn more about them. But it's not in any way like forced or unnatural.
Totally.
It's like, even though he's not part of what's happening, like they've dedicated 10 minutes
Yep.
to him trying to ask out this guy from across the hall.
Yep.
And it's like, it works perfectly.
And like giving you his occupation, like
Yeah.
who he is as a
Yeah, yeah,
person,
yeah.
and like it's totally natural. And like the episode lengths lend themselves to that, even though they're like usually only between half an hour to 40 minutes. They feel so long because they're so dense, but not overpacked. I also think that the pacing of this season was maybe a little bit slower than the first
Okay.
season. I think that it ebbs and flows a lot more than the first season.
Yep.
I think the first season had a slightly cleaner plot. And I prefer season 2. This isn't a knock on it. It's just a very different thing. Season 1 was like, there was one killer. They had one motive, really. And that was kind of it. And there was the side thing of Tim Como's friends and the girl dying and all that. But it was kind of like, you got to the end. Whereas this one was trying to build up a lot more with Tina Fey's podcasting group. Which
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure if it works for me. I like the idea of
Yep.
it, but I don't love Tina Fey's character and not in like I hate that person. It's just
Yeah.
she feels very thin as a character.
Yeah, like the only thing we kind of know about her is that she's a bit of a bitch.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you know,
It doesn't
like,
really get
yeah.
like maybe she'll be important. The way with this show, you shouldn't assume that they're finished with anything.
No.
Maybe there's more to her. But I was worried that she would be the killer because I was kind of like, I don't really feel anything for your character or the world that they've created, the podcasting group.
I think with the two different murders of the different seasons, season one's murder was a pre-established murder where it happened like it was a historical
Yeah,
murder,
yeah.
whereas this one happened and it was like
yeah.
it was like
like in the moment.
in the
sort of
moment
thing.
sort of thing, and it was like within like a week or two or something.
That's the craziest thing about this show. Yeah,
Yeah.
like the two
Yeah.
seasons are set over
Yeah.
2 weeks, really.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
because we saw the murder
Yeah.
for season 2 at the end of season 1.
yeah.
And it just because there wasn't that pre-established stuff, they were still trying
They
to find
couldn't-
evidence and
Totally.
they were still trying to figure out okay what actually happened, whereas the events were already
In motion.
in
kind of,
motion.
Yeah.
in
That's
the
a good
season
point.
one.
There's not enough time for them to be filling.
Yeah.
There's a lot more backstory they can kind of give to the Tim Como stuff, whereas like we get the wonderful episode of Poppy. Like, was it Poppy? Who's the lady that died? Is that Poppy?
No, Poppy was
Poppy's the girl that got
The
was
assistant.
Betty or whatever.
which we'll
Whatever.
get to later.
The murder. The old woman. We get the lovely episode of her final day, which
Yeah,
was great as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
But like that's kind of all they can give us in terms of extra information. So they give us more about all the characters. My theory, which didn't come to fruition, was that Teddy was going to be the big murder for this season.
And
Which I was like, damn it.
and you told me about that, and I was like, oh yeah, it's 100% that.
Yeah.
And then when the last episode happened, I was like,
Oh.
I did not like it was the biggest surprise
Yeah.
ever,
Yeah.
Yeah, when
Which
they
I'm-
flash forward.
which I'm like really glad about. Like I was like, I was happy that I didn't expect it.
Yeah, because I spoiled. The thing I did spoil for is the tell of.
Oh yeah, that.
got
But like
that,
it
which I
wasn't
That wasn't a spoiler.
a spoiler or
Yeah.
anything.
Because I was talking to Josh and I was pretty certain that, and I'm glad it was in the final episode, that Oliver's son would come up to him and the tell episode, which was where Oliver knows everyone's tell if they're lying, that the son would know his dad's tell.
Yeah,
so that
cool.
when
Yeah,
he
that's
told
cool.
him, I was
Yeah.
like, I hope that they bring that back round, and
Yeah,
they
that's
did,
cool.
and that was nice. And
Finish it off.
a
Finish
bit
it
of-
off with a bow.
yeah, and that was the thing that I think both seasons did it really well, is the show finishes. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't need to continue either times, but they just have that little extra bit that's like, next season. And so, like, season 1 finishes, all the murders solved, no one's incriminated, well, Teddy and his son are incriminated, but no one's like, there's no left hanging things, and then a murder happens. And the same thing happens here, which is really, I wish more shows did that. We always talk about it. We like things that finish, that don't like overhang, like they can tease little bits, but
Yeah,
it's like, you
but-
want an ending.
Yeah, especially if it's like not saying that this show wouldn't do well, but say you have a show you aren't sure if it will do well.
Yes.
Tie it with a nice little bow at the end.
Yeah.
But leave something along the run of your series that you can come back to if
Totally.
you are going to create a second series and go
Yeah.
further with that universe. You know?
Which they definitely do here, which
Yeah.
is they give Steve Martin a girlfriend, they resolve Oliver gets a production,
Gets a job.
Mabel paints a house,
Yeah.
which doesn't really have much in it.
Yeah,
There's not much of a...
her own house, but
Yeah, that is her own... Yeah, she doesn't paint someone else's house. She definitely paints her own apartment.
well, she actually finishes the renovations because she inherited the
true.
apartment,
Yeah.
and she was always planning to renovate,
Mm.
but she just didn't have the time or the money or
Yeah.
resources.
I think, like, for her character with that bit, it was more so like a symbolism thing of like her life is so
Moving on.
chaotic and like not all put together that
Yep.
now that everything, like, she's at peace with herself,
Yep.
things are put together, that apartment is now finished,
Yep.
she's ready to move on.
I don't-
And, you know,
I don't particularly want to see Cara Delevingne again.
yeah, no.
No.
I think she served her purpose well in the season.
Yeah, but it doesn't need to come back.
No, and I think they definitely, it feels like that's not a connection that's continuing in their goodbye. It's
Yeah.
very much, thank you for helping me. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've kind of slightly forgot how that ended.
Yeah.
Was it just like
Well, because they had their falling out, where she's
Yeah,
like,
the
never
falling-
see me again. And
Yeah.
then she must have resolved it because she was involved in the caper of revealing Poppy.
yeah
And then at the end of that, I think she was basically like, thank you, but there wasn't a romantic undercurrent. There wasn't a like, I'll see you again. It was
it
kind
was
of...
more like we're done.
Yeah,
Like,
which is nice. I'm glad, because it's the same thing with Charles and Jan. I was like, please don't do anything there, and I'm glad that they cut that short, because I'm like, that's a weird thing
Yeah.
to continue. So
Yeah.
I like that the show it's really aware of things that could be harmful to characters. It's like, that's not a plot thread that they should go down, and it's like, it does like the opposite of The Boys. It doesn't put the characters in places that feel nasty. Like,
Yeah.
things happen to them and you're like, oh, that sucks, but it gets resolved quick enough
Yeah.
that you're not, like you say, it's just a very feel-good show.
Yeah.
It's like, you never feel like anxious about things like that, which is
Yeah.
which is nice. But yeah, the flash forward, which is the Paul Rudd bit.
yeah, that
Amazing.
was
Amazing.
like
Yeah.
I reckon with getting Paul Rudd, it just goes to show how much money Disney has.
Yeah.
Because to pay
Yeah.
an actor of his
Yeah. Amongst
Celebrity.
already very high-priced
Yeah.
actors in the show.
like they have enough money to pay a big actor to be a murder victim, like
Yeah, to be murdered.
to be dead.
He has been signed on as like a main cast for season 3, so I
Yeah.
think we'll see a lot of...
I think
Pre-
I think it'll give him backstories.
It's basically what you're saying. Like, this has given us a breather to be able to fill in for season 3.
yeah.
And I
is
mean,
good.
look, he is also Ant-Man, so I feel like they've got...
He's on the payroll.
They already have, like, that little hold on him, so
Yeah.
they're like, hey...
Well, he was in the Chip and Dale movie for 10 seconds
totally.
as Ant-Man, which was great. But yeah, totally. Like, it was a great reveal, and wonderfully not Paul Rudd. Like, they didn't get Paul Rudd in as Nice Man, which was
No.
also really cool.
Yeah,
They got
yeah.
him in to play a fucking arsehole for like 10 seconds. And it's like, that set up season 3 in such a wonderfully quick way.
Yeah.
They also have that quick tease of Charles, and he's like, stay away from her. I know you did. It's like,
totally.
oh my god, like you again, in the same way I was like, there's no way you can do a season 2. Straight away they're like, no, we got this.
Yeah, totally.
We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Which is really exciting.
The one thing I will say, though, is that I kind of... As much as I love the show,
Mm.
I don't want it to be the thing where after every season there's another murder.
Another murder.
And then
Yeah.
they just happen to be able to
It
be
has to be the last one.
Yeah,
Has to
I
be.
reckon 3 seasons and then finishes. Like, people will be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
we want a season 4,"
But they'll
but
find
no.
a nice end.
Like, they like to make to leave this season, like this series as good,
Yeah.
they need to finish it after season
Well,
3.
the other thing that I keep thinking about, in the fact that it has to be last season, is this is the first murder that isn't in the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
totally.
So it's like, you've already broken the rules. So I feel like it has to be like, this is it. It also does the thing where the other two have been Mabel. Like, she's been the prime.
Yeah.
She's not connected this time. I mean, maybe she's the she. But, like, it's Charles and Oliver this time, which is cool as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's flipped that.
And it's more like with the first 2 murders, they were in the the building, and only the people in the building kind of were involved, like knew about it or involved. But
Yeah.
because it's on the stage, it's
And
more
this guy's
public,
famous as well.
and this guy's
Yeah.
famous,
Yeah.
and it's more
Yeah.
public, so everybody's going to be like watching it.
So it has to be. I think it'll be a huge finale, and I think, I hope it's the last one. The thing that I was surprised about, and I was so certain about halfway, well, when he gets stabbed, I was like, he's not dead, but I was like, that's the Chekhov's knife, and that the lead into season 3 is Charles is dead, and he's the
Yeah.
murder. I was like, that's the thing. That's the thing going into season 3, and then he's on stage, and I was like, oh shit, it's all building, and someone else dies. But I'm like, that might be the end. It's like, that's why they don't make more shows. Something happens next season that kind of mirrors
Yeah.
a stabbing of Charles,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the end.
Interesting.
But like, did you guys have any? Were you like, he stabbed? Like, what?
Oh,
Like-
I genuinely thought he was a goner. I was
Yeah.
like, no way.
Yeah.
And then, and like, because I was saying to you before we started, like, my mum, she watches it and she loves it
Yeah.
as well, and she had the same reaction.
Yeah.
Just full blown, like,
Yeah.
no way, like, no.
Like, I didn't know what I was thinking. It was just
Yeah.
so chaotic,
Totally.
and so like
Yeah.
everything. You didn't
Yeah.
know
So
what was
quick as
coming.
well.
You don't know what was happening.
Yeah.
That the
The
stab
slow
hap-
motion bit.
Yeah, so, like the stab. That was good.
Yeah.
Like the stab came, and I was like, "What the hell?" Okay,
Mm.
that happened. Let's move on to the next thing, and
Yeah.
I'll deal with it later.
Yeah. It was. I was like, I was kind of. Mum was freaking out. Dad was. I think he didn't enjoy this season, but Mum was freaking out, and I was kind of like. I was sitting in a little bit of shock, but like, there's no way. There's just no way.
Yeah, no.
And then when it comes back from the ad break,
Yeah.
and I think Martin Short jumps over the corpse, I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
because that was the thing. Like, it
Yeah.
cuts to black, and then
Yeah.
when it comes back, they've got a sheet over it.
Yeah.
and I was
That's-
like, no,
no.
I was like, there's
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah. That's when it was like, nah, okay.
Because like what, like in legit real life,
Mm.
wouldn't like a
you
doctor
can't touch the body.
you can't touch a body, and like it's like I think.
Mm.
And I'm not a cop,
Mm.
but like with a crime scene and stuff,
Yeah.
with a dead body, wouldn't you have to pronounce the person dead and then cover it? And like
Yeah, yeah.
it'd have to be like somebody who's not certified, but like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
totally. Yeah,
Who's-
it's not over.
yeah, it's,
He doesn't get stabbed, and then you're like, all right, well, that's
yeah,
done.
That's done. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but
But that's the thing that I think this season set up really well is that there is a looser grasp on reality. So it's like that could have been it, and like the way they're responding to that, they're all such weird, over like hyper characters that it's like maybe that's how they've reacted to his death. They're just moving on because the murder mystery is the important thing.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I like ingenious to have set up Kara's character to be that.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's like, she's always been the suspect. It's like she
Yeah.
gave Mabel a fucking bat and
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
destroy it. And you're like, you're a maniac. And,
and
then,
then like
for her to
she
stab.
had the card as well. Like,
Yeah.
she ended up being the killer in that game.
Totally.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
it's, again, the show is so wonderfully crafted to point towards all those things.
That game as well.
Mm.
Like that'd be really cool to actually play.
Totally.
I think
it's like
as if the people at Disney aren't
just going to put out a
claiming
card.
that
it's
product.
like isn't it
just-
like it was kind of like Mafia or like
Yeah, like Secret Hitler and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like that.
pre-existing games, but
Yeah.
like they can bring out their own version of it, like
Yeah.
you're saying.
And-
Yeah,
And it's such an interesting game because it's like, what is the game there? It's like someone has to understand everyone's tell.
Yeah.
It's like it's a murder mystery,
Yeah.
but Martin Short's the important part.
Yeah.
Which is-
You have to have him show up to every time you play it.
all I want in life is to be able to call him Marty and for that to be okay. Like for us to have a friendship as good enough that I could call him Marty. That's all I want. I love that guy. That was a great set. I love, I try to think what episode is my favorite, but I feel like this one had the more consistent fun episodes. Because season 1, again, is setting up so much of what the show is and who the characters are, that this one really just feels like they let them play. And
Yeah.
the Serious Sam one was awesome. Because that was the one where they like turn into the 70s. He's like, and lights, and lights, and then it's like
yeah,
they're all
yeah,
70s characters now. So
yeah.
that kind of stuff, and there's a lot more like Mabel with the puzzles, and it's all floating.
Yeah.
There's a lot more weirdness in this season. That I hope they continue that. I hope it doesn't get too weird. I don't want it to be like I don't know if what's real and what's not.
Yeah,
but I like a lot more visual treatment like that would be.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, just like something like fun to look at every once in a while.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. But yeah,
Hello, it's Martin Short here. I'm gonna talk. It's Will, but I'm gonna do a funny voice because I forgot to read Ben's comment, so I'm in here now reading Ben's comment. It was a really good comment, and I regret not reading it. So this is a comment from Ben Argel, and he said something very simple. In a year of some absolutely stellar TV, this is gonna compete for the top spot. The core trip was fantastic as usual, but I forgot just how much the secondary cast members shine in this show, and I actually grew to like the episodes focused on them even more. Although, for some reason, I can't stand the guy who plays Krebs. No good reason, I just can't. Also, ants. It is better than season 1. Back to you, William.
anyone got other thoughts?
Not really. I mean, it's like for me, it's not really a show where I've got anything to like pick at and pull apart. It's like it was like I said at the beginning. It was just so charming and enjoyable that it's like you just sit in and watch it and like enjoy it for what it is.
It's in the name of the show or in the context of the show. The easiest way to talk about the show is every week. And once it's finished, the only thing you can say is, "Oh, nice."
That's true.
Maybe we should. Let's do it. Let's do a weekly one next year.
Because I think
Along with
by the end of it, like when like this situation now is we've already know the answer. Like you said, we can only go nice.
Yeah.
But weekly
Week to
we
week,
can
we've
go.
got some
Okay, this is my
theories
theory.
Yeah.
I think it's this person. Blah blah blah.
I'll put my theory for the next season. I won't say what it is. I will give a hint for what happened to Paul Rudd is, and hopefully this doesn't give too much away. I don't know I don't think they've written it. I think that these shows, it's like they write everything per season and they set stuff up and then they go, all right, how do we make that make sense? But I think my hint is Sherlock season 3 episode 2. If you know what happens in that,
Oh God.
that's what I think has happened to Paul Rudd, because there's a shot that focuses on one of the things that he puts on in his costume, and the murder in that episode of Sherlock is very similar.
Did you say season 3, episode 2? Or
Yeah.
Season 3.
I think it's season 3. It might be season 4, episode 2. What's season 3, episode 2?
I've got no idea.
That's fine.
I'm writing it down.
He's just writing it. I thought he looked it up. That's my theory for what happened there.
I thought like just because like it was there, I was like, oh, is there something in like that mist?
Yeah.
I was like, is it
Mist
that
or something? Because he
But then
pops up. Blood.
Yeah.
But in saying that, and I don't want to deflate it very quickly.
No.
But
Pop it.
wouldn't
Charles as well.
Charles?
No, 100%.
Yeah.
But like that's why very quickly
yeah.
I was like, oh no, because you've got like all these people around as well
Yeah,
that it would
totally.
affect.
Yeah.
So you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got any theories?
My theory is Paul Rudd's dead.
What, the actor?
No, his character.
Originally he was an ongoing member of season 4, but he died. And they were like, well, I guess that's the murder for season 4.
Well, that's the thing as well, because he's been cast for season 3. So it's like, is it going to be like flashbacks of
Yeah, I think
so,
finding
yeah.
out why maybe Charles was like warning him and
Yeah,
stuff?
I
Like,
guess so.
more of that maybe,
Yeah.
but
It'd be cool if they do a bit of like Back to the Future 2, and he's been in the show in moments, but he hasn't been, but it's like they put him into moments.
Kind of what they did with what was it? Spider-Man Far From Home? Was it Far From Home?
Yeah, with Jake Gyllenhaal.
But like,
Yeah.
not actually in the scene like they did with.
Yeah, he's around, and maybe because there's so many loose ends that don't matter in the show, but it would be cool if he's somehow been involved with a lot of the weird bits and pieces.
Yeah.
But we'll see. The last thing I want to say is that I think this is my favorite show's score this year.
yeah,
I love the music in this show so much. It's so simple. It's pretty much the same motif, just played different ways.
Nice.
But I love it a lot. And I think the dude could do Doctor Who music, because the one thing you need in Doctor Who is motifs and themes, and he's pretty good.
I mean, they just need someone to do their music, don't they?
They don't have anyone currently. I've heard that apparently Murray Gold. Apparently he's back. Apparently. That's the strong rumor at the moment, so we'll find out. But that was Only Murders Season 2. If you want more of our voices, and you're on an audio thing at the moment, hit follow. All the podcasts are here already, but if you want to see our faces and Josh's tie-dye,
Hello.
There it is. You can head on over to youtube.com/each to their own. We stream at twitch.tv/etonline. And if you want to support us in any way, you can go to patreon.com/each to their own. And just $3 will get you into our super secret Discord where people have been theorizing the whole season long. So there's lots of things in there. Sam,
Yes.
where are you? Not currently, but
I do make some fan art every now and then on Instagram at SamStudioAU. It's spelt out the way it's said, I guess.
Yep.
Every
S. All the S's there. They all stand for hope.
multiple. Nice. But yeah, so if you want to follow that,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my personal account is Joshua Finch 54321. Yep.
Yeah.
And then I also do have a meme account.
Yeah.
It's just goats.
No, it's not. It's actually called Magic Mushroom Memes. And it's like legit that Magic Mushroom Memes, and it's a picture of Borat.
Yeah.
And then I have a movie review one, but I
He
haven't put
does.
up
Yeah, nice.
one recently.
Yeah, cool.
There's not many movies out.
No, it's been a bit light, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
in
been-
terms of movies.
Yeah, I might do one.
Black Adam.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe.
Maybe
Very
you
good.
guys can give me a request.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah,
Check in the
please
comments.
do.
that.
Please do.
Watch
and,
a Josh review.
and it can be like of a movie that's been out for years. Like, please give me something. I need content.
Borat.
Yeah.
I think I've seen the first one, so I should probably do
He's
Borat.
picture of his meme again. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Cool. Until next time, I've been Will.
I've been Sam.
And I've been the other Josh.
He has tie-dye and all.